that yesterday, only nobody cared because I think people were kind of in agreement that what I talked about yesterday was not a good thing, and so nobody really said anything. But in this case, I'm gonna piss probably everyone off. Probably everyone. And I'm just kind of getting used to it at this point. So here's the thing. If you happen to like the video, whether you agree or disagree, please do me a solid and hit that subscribe button and just smash, that's the term, right? That like button, because it really helps with the algorithm. And again, this one's going to get me potentially a lot of trouble. But the good news is for people who do not want to wade into this very sensitive topic, there will actually be a second video today because I recorded today's video yesterday, and then this story just broke, and I knew, oh yeah, this is something I want to talk about. So I got this interesting article on my phone from the Associated Press, and I think this is a huge statement to just how bad things are getting out there. Like, I mean, and it's really ridiculous. It doesn't need to be this bad. It really doesn't. I'm gonna try to refrain from saying something, but this is such a preventable thing, what is going on right now, and you all know how you can prevent it. So please, if you care for yourself and other people, just do what needs to be done. But remember how earlier in my eye is itching, sorry, that we talked about how Google was forcing people to come back to the office. And we've talked about how Apple is trying to bring people back into the office. Because here's the thing, remote work has been a godsend during this pandemic. I have loved it. My wife has loved it. I know friends who have loved it. We know people who never want to go back to the office. We know people when their work said, come back to the office, they said, here's our 2 week notice. Remote work is for many people very preferable. It's more relaxing. They can manage their time better. They don't have to commute. When you don't have to commute, you are not stressed out. But a lot of companies say, no, no, we don't want you to be comfortable. You think you work to have fun? No, you work for a paycheck. And with that paycheck, you come to the office. Now, there's various reasons why the different companies want to do this. Some of them simply want to exert some control over you. Like if you come to the office, they can control you, they can micromanage you. When you're not in the office, they don't have control over you. I hate to say this, it's a very boomer way of thinking. Other people, or companies, I should say, want you to come to the office because they are paying for expensive real estate. And unless people are coming into the office to work in that expensive real estate, it's basically not worth the money. They want to make it worth the money. Therefore, you come into the office. Heck, I have a friend who works at Google, which is appropriate because that's who the topic of today's conversation is. Who, when I don't ask why Google was just so insistent on, you know, forcing workers to come back into the office. He explained to me that Google's offices were like a boat. Like, why do you buy a boat? You buy a boat to show off the boat to friends and family members. But if you do not take clients and friends and family onto the boat is worthless. You are wasting your money. Well, that's the buildings for Google. Google's offices are their boat, and they want people back in the office. That's pretty much what it is. Also, I think if all their workers are working remotely, then Google and Apple and Facebook and all of Silicon Valley have to ask themselves, why the heck are we all in the same spot and making things artificially expensive? Let's just go to the far corners of the world and people can live wherever they want. I actually think that's what they should do. Sure as heck might make California less expensive, but that's just me. So anyway, Google was the first company to set the trend for people to work from home when the pandemic began. And it was a very smart thing to do. Now, of course, one of their big flubs was that people liked working from home and they proved that they were just as productive at home as they were in the office. But Google said, come back to the office. And I think they backtracked a little bit on that. Right now, it's Apple that's being extremely stubborn about that. But Google kind of said we'll have a hybrid model and we'll approve some people to work from home. Well, now Google is delaying the return to the office And they are actually setting what will probably be a new trend. And this is going to affect you whether you work for Google, Apple, Facebook, or even Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Postmates, Wendy's, McDonald's, Denny's, Target, Walmart. I think this is going to affect everyone. So for those of you who might have only watched a few minutes and said, well, this doesn't affect me because I don't work at Google. Hey, Ryan, how you doing? You might want to pay attention because you know what? Our selfishness is why this is a news story today. And yeah, I'm trying to bite my tongue a little bit, but I really do think we are in a bad situation because people are being selfish. But this is the Associated Press headline. Google delays return to office, mandates vaccines. Oh, yes, it's coming. We asked nicely, we pleaded, we even offered to give money. And you still want to be stupid? Guess what? Now you have to take it. Maybe. Actually, in some strange way, this might unintentionally make Google do one of the things I want them to do, which is keep work from home around, and I'll explain why in a minute. But anyway, Google is postponing a return to the office for most workers until mid-October and rolling out a policy that will eventually require everyone to be vaccinated once its sprawling campuses are fully reopened in an attempt to fight the spreading Delta variant. Uh, in a Wednesday email sent to Google's more than 130,000 employees, CEO Sundar Pichai said the company is now aiming to have most of its workforce back to its offices beginning October 18th instead of its previous target date of September 1st. The decision also affects tens of thousands of contractors who Google intends to continue to pay while access to its campuses remain limited. Quote, this extension will allow us time to ramp back into work while providing flexibility for those who need it, Pakai wrote. And Pakai disclosed that once offices are fully reopened, everyone working there will have to be vaccinated. The requirement will be first imposed at Google's Mountain View, California headquarters and other US offices before being extended to the more than 40 other countries where Google operates. The vaccine mandate will be adjusted to adhere to the laws and regulators of each location, Pakairo, and exceptions will be made for medical and other, quote, protected reasons. I'm getting just, I don't know. I'm going to hold my tongue on that one because I want to keep it focused on the campus. By the way, for all my Florida viewers out there, this probably won't apply to you if they're basing it on local laws because Florida's unusually stubborn about this. But anyway, so Pakai added, getting vaccinated is one of the most important ways to keep ourselves and our communities healthy in the months ahead. Google's decision to require vaccines to be in the office comes on the heels of similar moves affecting, hundreds of thousands of government workers in California and New York as part of stepped up measures to fight the Delta variant. And it's a bad time to get the hiccups. But anyway, this is what is happening because we couldn't do the right thing. We now have to start thinking about this. Now, mask mandates are starting to return. Some people are saying, well, isn't that like, they're saying even if you've been vaccinated, you have to wear a mask. Doesn't that prove that, vaccines have failed? No. What it proves is that the honor system doesn't work, which I frankly could have told you the honor system wouldn't work. When they said, hey, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. If you're fully vaccinated, you have to wear a mask. What did people hear? I don't have to wear a mask. That's all they took from it. That's all they took from it. And because of that, the unvaccinated, and even to a certain extent, some of the vaccinated, because no vaccine is 100%. The hospitals are filled up again, which is what we were trying to avoid. I mean, hospitals filling up because of this is dangerous stuff. Your dad has a heart attack, too bad. There's no room at the hospital. You're having a stroke because you eat fast food twice a day, and I don't know who. I'm not thinking of anyone particular Used to be me, not anymore. But you're having a stroke, too bad. Hospital can't help you. COVID patients are on the ventilators. This is very, very dangerous stuff. And there's a reason the government is finally taking what is, frankly, a no bullshit approach. This is why they're taking it. But here's the thing, it's now also a liability because you know what? Hey, people who got vaccinated, who wore their masks, who played by the rules, they did everything right, and lockdowns are threatening us again. Now, I do not believe there will be another lockdown for the record, but basically, we have all the information we need to prevent that from happening. The government is setting an example right now, at least the federal government. The local governments are all fighting each other on this, and I'll let them fight about that because that's not that topic is way bigger than I am, frankly. But the businesses, here's what I do know: the businesses, now that they see the federal government is making a statement and they are drawing the line in the sand, they're saying this is what we are going to do. Now this puts the businesses in an awkward position. Because let's say Pakai does not believe in the vaccine. He said he does. I don't know if it's true. I mean, people say things all the time, but let's say he thinks that's true. Um, let's say he's against the vaccine. Let's say he's against mask wearing. You know what? Doesn't matter. Federal government basically said this is what we recommend. And if Google goes against what they're doing, and some anti-vaxxer comes back to work and gets sick, winds up on the ventilator, maybe he dies, maybe he doesn't. Who knows? But you know that if he dies, the family of the victim will sue Google, who has a lot of money and are definitely worth trying to sue. They will sue Google and attempt to collect some money for loss of life. If the guy survives because he was selfish in the first place, he probably won't think twice about suing Google either because again, they have a lot of money and he was a selfish prick before. Why wouldn't he be a selfish prick now? Of course he's going to sue them even though it's his own damn fault. So this is now what the companies have to try to avoid. And by the way, I can guarantee you Apple, Microsoft, Target, Walmart, I think they're all going to follow suit. I think this is basically going to be because here's the thing. I personally think they should just bite the bullet and make a vaccine passport. I think that makes it very, very simple. Hey, you're vaccinated, you can come inside. If you're not vaccinated, you're getting curbside pickup. That's what you're getting. I have no problem with that. Some people say, oh, well, that's discrimination. You know, is it discrimination when we wrote the laws that said smokers could not be in the restaurant with non-smokers? Of course not, because smoking has ill effects on other people's health, and they should not have to suffer just because of your sucky habit. So I think a vaccine passport that would be fine. But people are going to uprise against that one. So what are they doing? They're doing a subtle vaccine passport. Oh, you want to come back to the office? Great. Are you vaccinated? No? Okay. They're going to work from home. Some jobs are even starting to say right now, you're going to get vaccinated. If the person says, I don't want to, they say, okay, you've got till this date. If you're not vaccinated by then, find another place to work. That's how it's going to work. When you go to a restaurant, I actually think there's going to be technically two restaurants. They're going to say, would you like inside or outside? I'd like inside, please. All right. Next question. Can you prove you're vaccinated? No. Okay. Well, since you can't prove you're vaccinated, you're sitting outside. It's just how it's going to be. Now then, just because I know some of you are now like actually thinking about like, okay, because I still have like a lot of Uber and DoorDash drivers. How is this going to affect us? Well, I think it's going to be pretty simple. You will be forced to be vaccinated if you want to continue driving for Uber, DoorDash, Lyft, any of them. But you might be saying, Kevin, Apptrepreneur, sir, we're independent contractors. There are business. We should not be forced to be vaccinated. Uber cannot tell it yet. You know what? I've been hearing that argument for a very, very, very long time. You clearly have not been watching this channel if that's what your response is going to be. Uber can tell you whatever the heck they want to tell you to do. You think you're an independent contractor? Grow up. You've never been an independent contractor. They have always told you what to do aside from whether or not when to clock in and when to clock out. But they um, they tell you what the rates are going to be. They tell they tell you how many times you can cancel, at least for a while. They will deactivate you without due process. And I mean, I guess you could technically drive people around without using the Uber app, but you need your own business license and you need to get your car certified. No, Uber controls that. So Uber just fired you. And you know what Uber's response is going to be to those who say, well, I don't want to be vaccinated and Uber should not deactivate me because I'm an independent contractor? Uber will say, yeah, good luck with that one, Sherlock. We have fired people because they defended themselves from getting shot. You think we're not going to hesitate to fire you? We will get sued if an unvaccinated driver comes around and a passenger from that driver gets sick and it's found out that, hey, guess what? We are we are on we let an unvaccinated driver drive for Uber. Uber's getting sued. Uber's losing that one. So's DoorDash and Postmates. Uber's going to say, hey, look, for the safety of others, we will not engage with contractors who refuse to get vaccinated. That's what's going to happen. Now, some people are saying, I just saw one of the comments right there. Oh shoot, I guess the HIPAA laws don't matter. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You should really read what the HIPAA laws actually say. The HIPAA laws do not prevent employers from asking you about medical conditions that may affect other people's health and or might be during a pandemic. This is both. This is both. Doctors cannot share your personal information with other people, but employers have every right to ask you about your medical condition, especially if it's going to affect the workplace. I mean, why do you think if a disabled person goes and tries to get a job at Walmart, why do you think Walmart says, what's your disability? Because they are absolutely allowed to ask that. They're allowed to ask that because your disability might affect your performance at that job, and they want to admittingly see if they can work around that and maybe they can work with you and find a good spot for you. It's usually not malicious. And it's not malicious here. They want the other coworkers and their customers to be safe. They can't control the customers all the time unless they actually start checking COVID cards, which we're getting to the point where they very well might do that, but they can sure as heck control you. So I think Google has just started what is going to become an inevitability. The vaccine passports have basically arrived. They're not overtly stated, but they have arrived. If you will have to get vaccinated before you return to most offices, if you drive Uber or Postmates or DoorDash, you will have to get vaccinated or you will be deactivated. I mean, the positive side is when you do decide to get vaccinated. So if the FDA approval really is the only thing that's causing you hesitancy, it's probably going to get approved in January. Once it's approved, you can get the vaccine and then you can go back if you want to for some reason. I mean, a lot of Uber drivers took this time to wisely get out of the I lost my train of oh yeah, to get out of the business, so to speak. Doing it live, folks. What can I say? So this is going to be interesting, and I think the only positive thing about this is if Google and Apple and companies really want to start respecting religious rights and things like that. So okay, we're not going to make you get the vaccine, but you're not coming into the office either. You have to work remotely. That is eventually going to create a situation where employees who are vaccinated but don't necessarily want to be at the office say, well, wait a minute. Isn't that discriminatory to say that they're working from home just because they won't get vaccinated? Well, if they can be productive at home, we can be productive at home. I want to transfer and work remotely. So in a strange way, this might actually keep the remote work that I want to see continuing. But anyway, that is where we are going to leave this topic. I know that was a bit of a mouthful. I will get. I am very interested to see your comments on this one. And for those of you who want a less spicy take on a sensitive topic, I've got another video coming out later this afternoon. So be sure to check that one out. And you know the drill. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Now, time for the obligatory reach over while we end the live stream.